It's super early. It's always so funny because it looks like, but it's like 5:20. It's still pretty dark out, and it looks super foggy, so foggy. And it's supposed to be sunny today. It's like we were supposed to get a day. Yesterday it got sunny later in the afternoon, and then it's supposed to be sunny all day today, and then it's supposed to go back to cloudy for 4 or 5 days, and then back to rain. Yeah, who the fuck knows with this shit? But there was I have a bunch of stuff, and it's gonna be all over the place, so buckle up. Let me think. Okay, so one thing, I haven't done my hair yet. This is, I swear, I don't think I've washed it in like a week, but I'd have to go back and replay all the footage. Like, when did I do this? I don't remember. So I don't know. But today I think I'm going to do a soak, because I haven't been taking a shower every day either. And one thing, with this water is funk. I don't. And when I was doing it every day, my skin was getting so dry. It was like getting kind of alligatory and itchy. And I was putting so much oil. I was having to go put oil on again later and stuff. So I don't know. I think they're putting something in it. It's maybe drying out my skin or something. I'm not sure what the fuck. I mean, we're under such chemical assault, it's just guessing. Well, maybe this, maybe that. So, the more you're aware of, the more you can pay attention of, the more that you have an opportunity to try and, create a barrier between you and that. So cowboys, what they do, used to take a bath like once a month or something. They were out in the dirt. I think that we got to just change our attitude, especially like right now while we're under this assault. Like, motherfuck, man. There's 100%, like, there's no fucking way that the smoke over New York was from Canada. There's no fucking way. I mean, there should have been a whole thing of it, and it wasn't. It just was right there. You should have been able. No, it's all bullshit. They did something over there. It was an explosion. Probably some of that stuff that's missing that everybody keeps talking about. Where is it? I said, they may be wise on this and use a little bit here, a little bit there. I mean, in that 95, that's a big deal. I just heard a guy talking about it, and he's over in Jersey. I heard a guy over in Philly talking about it, and his parents lived by it. And so for him to be able to get to his parents, it's cut off. So he was talking about that whole section is cut off now. That's what I said. What did I say? This is how they come at us. They isolate. They create chaos. They create tension, isolation. Like, it's fucking, Rod Serling was motherfucking saying it the whole goddamn time. I grew up watching this shit. It's so clear. So fucking obvious. So, they got that because he would show how those things would happen in his show. He would show what would happen to the human, what would happen to the people, and they will follow each other, even if it's something that's not good. This is so fucking gross, you guys. I swear to God, I am so grossed out. You know how much I've talked about this. I've been talking about this the whole fucking time. And what did I say about the one thing? I mean, we live with people who'd be like, oh, well, it's for the climate, and he did die, I mean, what are we going to do with him? So let's just, when I see people like yesterday, yeah, I'd like to know where those 85,000 kids. I said, McDonald's, use your brain. You're eating them, motherfuckers. You're eating them. So that's sick, and it's sad, but it's fucking true. It's true. Like, there's so many people going missing, and it's not just kids. And they got to feed the masses, don't they? And they're putting it right out in our face. So this is the grossest ass thing. So, and I thought this has got to be a joke. I thought this has got to be like a spoof or something. This can't be real. And it was a video, and so the guy is, like back in the day, I don't know if they do it anymore, but back in the day in America, in the mall, there would be a section, like a business, and then they would be, asking you to do a sample, like, taste these 3 things and tell us which is best. Taste these 3 things, tell us which is best. And they give people like $20 or something. And so people would get excited to go do that at the mall, back in the day. Like, I don't know what the deal is about that now. I mean, somehow they've done enough, like, that they know kidney cells are a delicious thing that we become addicted to, which is just so sickening when, you know, I got all those cow organs and how Stella reacted to the kidney. And the smell, oh God, it was so gross. And then when I heard, you know, that we have some sort of thing with the kidney cells, I felt like I saw, you know, I don't know if it's something in our, like, the smell of them just really got her. Like, she was going crazy over them. So, I don't know. These places are so fucking sick. But so, we just gotta keep remembering, we're not real, we're not real, we're not real. Like, it's my avatar, which isn't even, it's a made up, I'm in a video game, I'm not really eating this stuff, I'm not really breathing this stuff, but it's just so weird how it can still affect us. Like, this is an elaborate game. So this guy, the video starts and he's putting the wrappers on this meat, and it says Hue meat, Humeat. Then it has, you know, the thing that we've always seen with a human, and it has the thing going around it, and they'll have it standing there with its arms and legs out. That was like its logo. What the fuck? This is so fucking sick. God, oh God, I can't even believe some of the stuff that we're going through. It's so disturbing. So, and this is in England. I could tell by the accents, but they don't have malls there. It's, you know, you shop like sidewalks. Like, you walk down the sidewalk and there's like shops, like going down on Melrose or something like that. So he's just out on the sidewalk doing his little, here, you want to taste it? Like what they do at Costco. If you go to Costco and they're, here, sample this, sample this, sample this. Only this is a sampling, but it also is a little combo. You know, he's got he's got pamphlets to help you understand, like, all this weird shit. So people start coming up. And so in the video shows the table, and it doesn't show anybody's head. So it shows people's hands, and you hear their voices and stuff. And I don't know if they did that just to cut out having to have them signed to be on the videos or something. Because it was a whole commercial. This was a whole fucking commercial. I mean, it had a whole more to it. Like, it was so gross. So the people come up. Some of the people were just like, when I was mimicking the people going through the drive-thru, yeah, give me a little bit of that Bob. Yeah, he was pretty good last week. I'll have a little bit of Bob. You got any Bob left? Well, we ran out of Bob, but we got Sue. She's a pretty hot number. Everybody's really digging Sue. You want some Sue? Well, hell yeah, I'll try the Sue. And yeah, give me Sue. And is there anything else? I'd like a special. You know, like, the people are fucking lost their goddamn minds. And they were doing it. They were fucking, it was like I just said the things that they said. It was, well, who are we eating right here? And the guy, well, he's giving them samples out, and people are like, oh, this is good. So now you're a cannibal, huh? And they're like, and you still keep thinking, okay, this has got to be like a joke or something. This has got to be like a spoof. There's no fucking way. They're handing out the word like it's motherfucking drag queen now, or pride flag or something. Like, god damn. Couldn't believe how many times. And people are like, well, yeah, I mean, who is this I'm eating right here? Anyways, and there was a Bob. No shit. And Bob's pretty tasty. He's pretty good stuff. Who else you got up there? They can start putting the names on the wrappers for us. And he said, as he's telling them, educating them, well, I mean, do you eat? Because the people who would walk up and get really grossed out and say really rude shit and how disgusting and disturbing and stuff. And he'd be like, well, you eat meat, don't you? Eat chicken, you eat cows, you eat, you know, saying that kind of stuff. And they'd be like, yeah. And he would say, yeah, well, they don't ask to be. These people ask to be. And so then it goes into the commercial part of the education part, or the person just put it all together, made their own video with these things. But it goes into about, because they've already got, our celebrities, because people idolize them so much, they just want to eat them up. So the celebrities, and there's a bunch of them who have given their DNA. Well, I mean, they're fucking clones. They've got their DNA on store, It's like, oh, they get too drunk last night, die. Pull out the other one. Oh, he's a little thinner. Okay, well, we'll release the story. He was on a crash diet. He was stressed out. He was what? Like, it's just some bullshit. Like, the whole fucking thing is just like, it is so much about like cabin in the woods. Like, we seriously have these people behind the scenes that are in control over what is going on in our reality. And they talk like that, It's mental. And, but the people who were all into it, they're sitting there, oh, it tastes so good, and it's lab grown, and this, in the ad thing, it showed, you can go buy your celebrity, they grow muscles, so they take their cells, they go to a lab, they grow their muscles into a meat tissue crap shit, and then sell it to people for food. This place, God, because like I said before, well, it was when I asked that one time, and I was like, why with the kidneys? Like, what the fuck? And that is where I heard loud in my head the food. Like, that is one thing why there's so much with people going missing and stuff. It's food. It's fucking soil and green. And they decide who is not worthy of their own lives, They decide, just as I could sit here, this fly is really annoying me, it's buzzing, and I could just kill it, like, put it out of its own misery. And, and I've just been looking at life and how we look at life so much more different through this whole process, Used to, fuck yeah, I killed that fly. Now I sit there and just, like, try and tune them out. I try and get control of my own mind, my own emotions and stuff. And I keep getting these challenges. But I believe that's what it's about. You find peace when you have control of your mind, of what you're focused on, what you're paying. Like, if you're just focused on your fears, that's what I said, as you see these people awakening, they get focused on their fears. And then they just get, really focused on it. And when you focus on your fear, and I learned about this, like I talked about this a long while ago, but when I was going to medical assisting school, before in the nursing school, I was trying to think, because there was a part where we did have to practice on each other, drawing blood. But, it was when I went to medical assisting school, when I was still, I was young, and I still had a horrible fear of needles. And when we got to that part of, in school, I thought I was going to have to drop out. I was like, there's no fucking way I can let somebody poke a needle on me. I mean, I would have, when I was a kid and a teenager even, I just remember this one time, and I think I was like 13, and they came in to give me a shot. And I'd have to get shots, I swear to God. I got so many fucking shots when I was a kid. I'd step on nails, they'd give me tetanus shots. But then when I almost cut off my finger, don't go to the ER. Or when I got scarlet fever, just stay in the room. And that is when I hallucinated and was chased. And, well, there is no hallucination. It opens your mind to other places. Like, that stuff is real. Anybody who's gone through these experiences know, you're going into a temperature, you're going in, you're crossing out, the veil isn't in there. Like, your mind is going into other places or something. So anyways, that really gave me the idea of what it's like for those people who, there's a lot of schizophrenic have those people, like the guy who was chasing me. It was like an energy, but it was really big. It was like what you would think of as a kid as a monster. It was so big, and it was right behind me, and I was running through the neighborhood in the night and out in the dark, because I jumped out my window because it had scared me. because it said it was going to get me. And then it was chasing me, and as I'm running, and it was like a bad dream, I swear to God. It was like when you're in a dream and you're running and something's chasing you and they're right behind you and you can feel them. That is exactly what it was like, only it was real, really happening. And it was so loud. And when they talk, and it's like it permeates. It's like you don't, it feels like you hear it in your ears. It's all encompassing when you're in like a realm like that. And so, that's why, and then you get these people, schizophrenics and stuff, turning to the medical, like, what the fuck, this loud ass guy's talking in my head and he won't shut the fuck up and he keeps saying rude shit. And instead of helping the people manage that, they are like medicate them and make them scared of it. I mean, the schizophrenic people are so scared of that shit. And it's scary when you can hear, and when you can be around that energy and you can sense it and you can hear it and stuff. And it's not like demons, like people think demons all the time. It is just it's like a black blob, but a black blob with just as we can turn ourselves into this, they can shapeshift into shapes and stuff, depending on its own ability, for its own ability over its energy. And don't forget, that's what we're doing here. And incarnating and stuff is getting more abilities over our energy. We're understanding more of our energy, and even when we're not understanding it, and we're incarnating in this place under this veil, then the growth, like what I was talking about, the growth that you get from the situation is what your soul is yearning for. It's that growth. That's why you go to the review and you go back over it and stuff. And I have a bunch of things coming up my head. There was one though that I hadn't finished. It was the guy, wasn't the meat thing, because I'm seeing that thing again. It was after that. It was a guy who I gotta say something still with the bridge and stuff like that, because that area is totally under attack. So, man, and it will go. It's like they keep going back and forth between like this East Coast area over here and then down to the south. And and you got to think too. There's like an aspect of us being herded, us being moved. So, I think that has something to do with the whole Florida thing and stuff, but they use that stuff to get people to think. And another thing too, there's people in Florida staying to fight, and all the people who are running, well, where can we go? Where can we go? How do we find another blue state and stuff like that? They're not standing up for themselves. They're not standing up for the rights. They're not being there for the battle. But it's like these things have to happen so that they can see. So it's planted in their mind. So it's like, oh, so these people are there, staying there trying to change the laws, and I'm running like a little bitch, trying to find some place that I can go let my child transition or something without him being taken. Like, this stuff is so bizarre. Like, when you hear some of these parents, I'm just like, some of these parents, I think, are just so abused or something that they just don't think right. Like, something's gone wrong. Like, some of these parents is bizarre. Like, your child should not be thinking about sex when they're 6 years old. That is fucking... It used to be called child abuse. It used to be called, a person would be called pervert. So now it's just like weird. Like, if you've seen the video, that one kid, it's the two brothers. And the one is just talking. And the mom, I guess it's somebody caught this video. It was live, and they screen videoed this conversation and then started sharing it. And the mom, which, I'm not saying anything about heavyset people. Every heavyset person is damaged, but I'm saying a soul puts weight on themselves to protect themselves. So that is a sure sign that there's some wounds going on when somebody has got a lot of weight on them, because it's a protection, because it's a cushion from the world, even though it ends up being toxic to you. But that is the motivation for you to deal with it, to, to go towards, to find balance. So you're not all in this toxic, but it's a part of the process. It's a part of the development. So, I mean, we're seeing a lot of that in a lot of people when they start healing, they start losing weight. It just comes off without even trying because our body shows how we feel in the world. So this woman, she's a heavy set chick, and there's a certain look, there's a certain look. I mean, I'm not trying to stereotype or something. I get stereotyped all the time. But there is the progressive people, like they're into the gear, they're into the look, they're into, it's because it's a very artificial, superficial way of living. And so that is a part of the thing. That's what I was talking about, like with the spiritual, the love and light and stuff like that, where so many people follow a lot of those people, but they're all very superficial. They're very shallow. They're not very deep into spirituality. They're a lot more into ego and, there's a lot of things, but each person will notice it for themselves when they're supposed to notice it. If you're following somebody like that, then it is part of your lesson to see for yourself. So, I think a lot of people are pulling away from those people because those people are so strict on rules. It's all about rules. Like, well, you have to be a vegan, you have to do this, and you have to wear this, and crystals and all that stuff. Like, there's just, and then a way of just ignoring the world and ignoring the people around you when, it's very divisive. I mean, we're in a part of humanity where we're coming together. It's about having empathy and compassion. All these things going on, these tragedies bring people together. The one guy who was talking, the Jersey guy, he was like, I see him talking, and he's definitely a conspiracy theorist kind of guy, and kind of, that older kind of just fed up with this bullshit kind of attitude. And he's so Jersey. Like, if you saw him, he's got this mustache and his hair, he's in the way he talks and stuff. He's very stereotypical of a Jersey guy. And I've never been to Jersey, just what they show us on TV. And so he was so fed up about the smoke thing. And then he said, in this thing with the 95, like where he's at too, he can't. He said the 95 is so traveled for being able to go to other places. And and it's Monday morning, and that's just going to really fuck up. Like, people getting to work, because it's like a main way to travel around there or something. And so he said, those of us who, think in a certain way, we know they're doing this shit on purpose. They're doing it on purpose to isolate, to keep it where, okay, we got this group over here, they can't go anywhere. We can't even get food to them. We can't. But a lot of this stuff, don't forget how much they've been using this shit to scare people. I think a lot of the food places blowing up is to scare us. A lot of the, once that diesel thing, like the diesel shortage, we were going to run out, nothing was going to get anywhere, and then just quit talking about it. I think that they throw so much of that shit out there just to scare people. And just like when I was in school, so when they were going to use the needles, I figured out how I had to use my mind to control fear. And I started understanding so much more about fear. And I was like, I think I was like 24, 25 years old. And, but I've always approached life in a very different way than other people. And I can only associate that with the fact that I've always had a really loud spiritual team, and they're chattering away at me. And, if you don't recognize your people, like I've said before, and I'll say it again because there's more people watching now, is ask questions. Ask yourself questions that you don't know the answer. And that will help you start the conversation, because then you can start recognizing the voices. The people who have a lot of interaction or whatever with their guides and have had it naturally for a long time and stuff like that, you listen to them and they'll tell you. You can feel the different. It's not like you just hear it. or feel it, it is like, it's very distinct, the different voices that are in there talking to you. It isn't, but people just mash it all into their brain, thinking and stuff like that. But it's not like that. This is a processor. You're receiving information and processing it. And so it isn't just your thoughts. It's energy is all around us. You have communication going on all the time. And it all is dependent on your frequency and your vibration. And that is why, like, if you get really down and depressed and you get yourself in a low vibration, then it's hard to pull yourself up because of all of that energy that's there. And right now, there's so much of that. But it's really purging out. There's, like, no place for it. So it keeps purging and purging out. And, you know, and the way that I learned to control my mind was, it is how it was like, I would have to think, like, there's different ways you can do it. It's like a focused thought. Stella, let me finish this, okay? I understand that you're not happy here for a second, but let me finish this, okay? And then she's been kind of like this all night. See, when I got up, 4:30. She's very stiff. This is fucking chemicals, man. As soon as she's doing good, I'm telling you, every motherfucking time. So cyclic. Oh, God, I'm sick of this shit. I'll be so glad when it's over. But, and I feel like we're super close. I mean, the attacks are big. I mean, taking down freeways, like, I would think there's going to be, for sure, some more this week. There was a huge fire, I think in, like, Charlotte. I don't know, it was out in North Carolina, South Carolina. It was a huge fire. It was scary looking. I saw somebody sharing footage of huge fires in the Netherlands. Like, I don't know if some people are making this shit up and just doing footage and getting videos of other fires and putting them out as current ones, because that's how our news works. So, and they've got, you know, these people out there that they pay to create, they are big on saying misinformation. So, you know, but they are creating the misinformation. They're doing that. Are you trying to lay down? I gotta move this so she can lay down there, I guess, apparently. How's that? Okay. I love you too. And so, but it is like, take your, like when I did it, this is such a long time ago, but, like I would focus my thought on the thing. Okay, because I got to think of how to make it associate with how people are scared of the events going on, because they are, you know, they're programmed into Armageddon through movies. They're programmed, aliens are bad through movies, and they're programmed through religion of the end times and stuff. So all that stuff is programming. So they, you know, and I think they do some of that stuff on purpose to keep the story going. But I think also that they knew certain things would happen. Like, who knows too? Who knows when they even wrote that book? Like, that book could have been written fucking in 1800s. And then they told us it was, you know, and they could have copied stuff out of the Sumerian tablets and other hidden documents that are hidden from us. Like, people don't know. The whole thing that got me with the religion was just where they were trying to, how they tried to push God. I was like, no, God's not angry. God's not evil. God's not judging you. And yesterday I said something. TikTok is really being wacky. Like, it's really switching. Like, YouTube is like censorship is lifting. They're letting my video go out. More people are seeing it. And on TikTok, when I got up, like all day yesterday, it was like no notifications. No, I got up this morning, it was like 5. It's like they've just cut it down. I don't know what they're doing. It's very controlled right now. And I think probably because there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot more stuff going on, and they don't want everybody to be able to share it. You could, I'm going through looking for guys like the two, you know, who are locally there telling you what's going on in the local area. So I'm looking all the time for those videos, and I found those two guys talking about it, and I see them talking all the time. But, you know, there's something that they're definitely doing. I mean, I'm getting weird videos on my thing, these girls doing makeup and stuff. And some of them are so weird. You want to sit and watch, but then you know you're going to get 200 of them. But some of them are so weird. Like, it's so weird how instead of just focusing on your own beauty, your own, taking care of like the avatar, your own avatar. It's like they're creating these other ones to feel more comfortable that are like societal, but they're isn't like all of society isn't all approving of this. Like every person in society does not think looking like an anime character is like hot. And it's weird, like how many like that look of an anime character is and how much that they put on all of this makeup and stuff. It's like, man, you could go and I don't know, but everybody's got their own stuff to figure out, their own things to realize. But when I was trying to figure out like the fear thing, it was like they would be coming at me with a needle. I'd be panicking. My heart attack would be, and especially, of course, because this is how it works. When you're pushing yourself, you're challenging yourself, something's going to go wrong. We're going to give you a little extra challenge here. So, of course, one of the girls, she's digging around in there. It's like, oh, my fucking God. But now I can handle that. But before, when I couldn't, because when I was a teenager, like what I was going to say, is that they had to hold, like there was 5 people. I was like, and I was all arms and legs. You couldn't, I was going all over the place, all these arms and legs. And they're trying to hold me and pull me down to give me some fucking shot. Who knows what the fuck. And, I was fighting and stuff. And I think that's the last one I got. I think it could have been antibiotics. I would get warts and like I would get plantar's warts. I was always barefoot. I was like a little feral child. I enjoyed being outside. I was like, when you find those feral cats, they're, I was out there barefoot running through I stepped on nails, bees, ants. I mean, we had fire ants there, big fire ants. And they would have huge, like you'd be running as a kid, anybody in the South who can remember, you'd be running, and it could probably still be like that, who knows, but there'd be these mounds, you'd run through one, and like when you're running, you're not paying that much attention all the time, and you would know you went into one because you would go into it kind of, but your leg would start burning, and you'd look down and just be covered with ants. But, I mean, that kind of stuff was like, everybody'd run over, those are the adventures. Those are your things you remember and stuff, those are your stories. So, and all these kids, like, what are they growing up? Their stories like, yeah, and I played that game for like 10 hours that day. I beat a lot of people. Yeah. And now I guess somebody was talking about this, this cartoon character somebody developed, what they said the gamers were going to look like in 2040. And they were, very, pot bellies, their necks all deformed. They're all like pale and stuff like that. And one of the big things was they had a crease down their head from the thing sitting on there. So they made a headband into their skull. And a gamer had to shave his head a couple weeks ago or something. And I don't know what it was for, but he had his head shaved and he had one. And so all of the gamers started being like, what the hell? So all these gamers started shaving their heads and they all started having them. So they all have these headband things that are creased into the thing. So now all they're talking is like, oh my God, are we going to really turn into this? Like, we've got this already. It's like, what do you think happens if you sit on the couch and don't go out and get sun for hours and hours? And then, those are from their headset things or something. But, in their fingers, like all their stuff, like what do you think happens? Like we've learned about repetitive motion. I mean, and when you're not using something, other things go dormant. You've got to be using more things than just what they do, and they get like that's out of balance. That is in balance, but that's their stuff to learn. They've got to go through what they have to learn to grow from whatever. But so. the, so in the thing, when I was working on the fear thing, and so they would come at me with a needle, in my head, I would, I don't know, it would be like I would start like repeating something. This is way before affirmations and stuff like that. So affirmations kind of thing. And kind of like what they try and teach like in Lamaze class too. It's like you shift your mind and you think about something else and you just stay focused on it. Like repeat, repeat, repeat or something. And focus on this other thing instead of what's going on over here. But you'll still be aware of the needle is poking you and cutting through my, like, it would be so big in my head. It's ripping through my skin. So instead of doing that, you recognize when you start thinking of the big things, you start having an emotional response. You'll start feeling panicky. You'll start feeling sick to your stomach. Your heart starts pounding. So as soon as you recognize you're having a mental response, a physical, emotional response, you go the other direction. Start thinking of the smallest. Oh my gosh, that's so small. That is the tiniest thing. So what I would do in order to change something was minimize. Like I would start looking at it different. And, you could use that for a breakup, oh yeah, they were so great. You thought you were so in love and stuff. And then, start minimizing it. And it's really important, I think, too, because I think there's so many people out there thinking they're being rejected by the right one. That's impossible. You're not going to be rejected by the right one. Even if you are feeling rejected and you know who the right one is and you feel rejected, it is still, that is your response to a situation that you need to work on. It isn't, unless somebody is coming right up to your face and rejecting you, then otherwise it is something in your mind that you're creating. And everything that we create, and that is what I'm saying, is like fear is being purged out. So then we go to things that we feel insecure about or sad about. But there's so many of these girls who were out there, I don't know, talking about their twin flames and being rejected, and like the right one is rejecting them or whatever. The right one can't reject you. Yeah, like just think of how that, like, it's impossible. The right one can't reject. The right one will always pick you. You're the right one for someone. If you're being rejected by somebody, it's not the right one. And these twin flame things where girls are like they know that there's connected to this person and stuff, and they feel rejected. That is because you are supposed to be working on that side of yourself. That is supposed to be coming to the surface so that you can go through that process of like, why would I feel rejected? That is where you got to start going through, asking yourself questions. Why would I feel rejected? Is this person come up and slapped me and said, get away from me, you weirdo? Then that would be rejected. Then I would say, that's not the right person for you. That isn't your right person. Your right person and there's a lot of right people, depending on what you're here to learn. You have people come in to teach you. And it's our expectation where we get all caught up and think like this person would never hurt me. This person would never do that. That's us doing all that. We're putting all that pressure on somebody else. And, on all of our expectation, we're giving away our empowerment. We're just handing over our self-esteem to this person and asking them, don't hurt me. Well, they've got their own stuff that's going on. And we come in to, play both parts. You're the bad guy for a lot of people. You're not just the good guy. And one thing that is important to go through your processes as you're awakening, especially if you're finding yourself in judgment of other people, is go back through your past lives. And if you don't know how to do that, you go through meditation. There's ways to do it. There's meditation you can do on YouTube. There's tapes. There's books. There's people who do it professionally. You can go out and pay. But the reason you incarnate is to get rid of judgment. It's like I've been talking about. You go in and you experience something. You have a different attitude towards it. You don't judge it. And another thing, too, that is important to realize, what was that one they were showing me this morning? I was like, oh, yeah, that is as a really, because people think when you're coming back to learn the other side, they think it's something different. And what was this? Because it was something like a group of people. It was something with a guy who done something with a group of people. And then when he, so then the coming back to go to experience the other things, so you have to be one of the people that has something that occurred where you went through that. What was it? It was a really good one too. One that they showed me this morning. But anyways, whatever it is you caused in this other life, and so whatever you did, then you go into another one, then you will play a part of somebody who's affected by that stuff. So see, you're trying to learn to release judgment. You're trying to learn so that you can, because is the highest vibration is absolute no judgment. But we need judgment to understand ourselves, to grow. So when you get to that point of no judgment, it is being like an open water. There's nothing. There's nothing. And open water, I think, to a lot of us, gives us a panic. I think a lot of us have had, deaths in open water. Traumatic things happen in open water in other lives and stuff like that. But I also think it is something with our soul that we want to be engulfed. We want to be blanketed in each other's energy. We don't like to just be out there just in open water asking, who and what am I? And there's nobody there to judge you, to give you a reflection back. So it is part of the process. But I think that when you get to that highest point of no judgment, that it is like like there's a spark of light, of pureness, but there is also, a lack of identity. You're absorbed into the light, kind of. So to me, there's great purpose. Like, I know a lot of people there, I think a lot of people are really down on reincarnation and past lives and stuff like that, just because we're going through so much trauma right now, and we're going through such a huge one, and plus all the misinformation of people thinking like what this place is different, than what it is, like the stuff that people are saying and stuff. And I'm not saying that they're wrong or whatever. I mean, they've been programmed to see things the way they see them, but your soul has the ability to see further, but you have to connect to your soul. Your soul can help you understand more, but you got to connect to your soul. And connecting to your soul can make you feel crazy, make you feel not connected to the 3D as much, which feels uncomfortable, especially when you're in a 3D world with all these people who are very attached to the 3D. And then you have to go through the process of looking crazy and stuff like that. But, everybody's going to be doing it. It's just, you decide when you're comfortable enough to start doing it. But it is a whole thing about the communication. Start recognizing the different voices, the different energies, the different thing they're bringing to the table. Don't just jump on board every single time, something's said, because sometimes you got to think it through. If I do this, is it just because it's going to be good for me, or am I going to be hurting other people? Because that's the one, I swear to God, that they try and slip by you all the time. And that is, one that is on ego. And it's not like they're trying to be devils and mean and stuff. It is they feed off of the energy that is created. So it's parasitic, but it's not, I don't think it's evil. Just like I said, I don't look at the attachments, the dark attachments to people. I look at them more as a vague energy that doesn't know what it is. And, not a manipulative demon that's there. No, it's You know, the same way as you go out with a roly-poly and throw it over on its back, it's going to fight to survive to get back over. It's like that. It's an energy that is fighting to survive, and it survives off of you having these little emotional responses. So that emotional charge is an energetic feed for them. And so they attach to you, especially so much attachment happens in dark times. And that's why it's so hard to get the dark off of you, because it is a heavy, dark energy. And the way you do it, the processing, is the processing, releasing things, and your awareness. I really think it's key to have awareness of what you're dealing with, of energy and energetic beings, and we're in this game, and there's a lot of stuff that can really help you have a more peaceful life, and not feel all panicky and scared all the time. And like when things get rough here, even when I'm like, my chest isn't hurting, that I even went and took her for a walk last night. But I've been really working on it in my mind, and really working on, okay, the pain isn't real. The pain isn't real. You got to remember, though, a lot of pains are there to show you. And that is why there's this fine line. Like, everybody, you're on your own level. And it's up to you. You don't jump ahead. You don't try and jump over, well, I'll just quick jump over this level. I'm not going to do this work. That's going to be some tedious shit. If I just jump up there, I think I can manage. No, you got to take each step as it comes, and you got to be open. And so while you are processing and letting go of things, then you will start leveling up just automatically. Your guides have a whole plan for you. So you don't need these love and light people out there telling you, this is what you got to do. This is what your guides told me and stuff. You don't need to listen to any of that. You need to listen to your own. And when you can't hear them, you got to just tune in. That's where you need to start your focus right off the bat, is working on your communication with your guides, and realizing, like, I think it's important to start noticing your thought processes and see what you can control. Notice, like, am I getting myself all worked up about this? How do I talk myself? It's like self-talk. It's like, when you're trying to teach a baby how to soothe itself, and so you leave it in its bed crying for a little while so it can learn that it's, it doesn't need to be rescued, and it can learn how to self-soothe and stuff. Like, you do it with dogs and stuff. When you leave, they have anxiety attack. Somebody out of the pack is left. What are we going to do? We got to be able to watch them. How are we going to manage? It's the one that hands us the food. How are we going to get the food if she doesn't come back? And so then a lot of dogs go into hyper anxiety attack when people leave. And, but is all learning, the soul is all learning about self-soothing, how to keep itself managed and calm. And so, that's where I had learned with the fear, how to just kind of recognize the signs, how to change my self-talk, how to turn something into something more minimal, where I was maximizing, I'm envisioning the needles getting bigger and bigger, ripping through my skin, and you start going, oh, it's really tiny. It's so tiny, and my skin is barely going in there. Like, you start changing the way you look at it. It's the same with spiders and stuff. So many people are so scared of spiders. It's like, they're so small. It's not going to win in any fight that it has with you. It recognizes that. It's scared of you. They're always running. And, when I'm really working on trying to change and I've got some big ass ones out here in the woods, and I'm really working on, changing my relationship with them, and not being, because you get in your head and you start thinking like this giant is going to come, it's going to viciously kill you, or getting your ear canal. Like, I can't believe how many people with the ear canal thing right now. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's what I need to do, is put peroxide in her ear. Maybe she's got a spider in her ear. Because her ear canals are pretty big. Mine, I feel like they're really tight. Like, I can't even, like, I can get a Q-tip in there. Like, but I don't know how far I'm really putting the Q-tip. But to me, my ear canal feels tight. Like, I don't see how a spider would get in there. Like, I'm hoping maybe the people I keep seeing about that is, they got really big ear holes. Oh, I don't know, big ear holes and short hair, maybe. Like, mine have to go through a jungle, go through and try and squeeze through. Like, I don't know. I just keep hoping. Like, but that is one of those things where I have to, because you keep thinking about it and thinking about it. Same thing with the parasites. And I have to go past those videos anymore. It just starts getting too much in my head. Like, when I start feeling something crawling around in here, it's like, oh my God, these things. And it starts coming, trying to, like, right by my eye. And then it starts, oh my gosh. Yeah, you can give yourself, you just, I can see, like, how people get so in their head, you know, or especially, like, it happens, I think, a lot with people on drugs and stuff, or anybody, because it's just a loss of your mind, and start digging at their skin. They can feel it crawling. You can fucking feel the shit crawling, and then start digging, trying to dig them out and stuff like that. And there's so much with the morgue Ellen thing, you know, that's real. And you know, and when I'm outside and I feel this thing all of a sudden bite me, and then there's that thing. It's like, is this things burrowing in? Like, what in the holy hell? This raining down, and then it was always like, and how does that affect us when we're not even real? Like, what in the hell? Like, as part of the script, part of the storyline. You know, you got to be affected by this gross house stuff, and. I'll tell you another thing is all this stuff with the Las Vegas aliens. There's so much. It's like the main thing that I've been seeing. Like, I swear to God, it's like every other video. And so there's a lot of videos where you can, there's more than two. There's somebody, because people keep going way in and stuff, and people have, you know, I've got my phone and bad eyes, but so they keep going way in, and there was one where you could, I've seen a couple of them sitting there, and they're definitely grays, and, you know, I mean, could it be the government, you know, going in and starting to attack people in their homes to, you know, I mean, there really is grays. We know there really is grays. We know we're really in this galactic battle for freedom. So, in regards to truth, I mean, this realm is all based on lies. And that is one thing, too, is, you know, I forgot to say yesterday, too, when we're talking about the event and stuff, is the Nibiru, or however I see, because it's Nibiri, I think, Nibiru, Nibiru, I think. But some, like Narubu, whatever, we all know, we all know what we're talking about. And there was footage, there's some crazy ass footage, like right now, that I have been seeing with the two moons, which it's not even a moon, it's orange. And there's definitely, and I keep going out and looking over here on the West Coast, and I think it's, like I've said, there's something weird about the suns. Like, how would they have two suns if we didn't have a bigger space? Like how is my sun not going over my head? How's it just going to the side over here all day long? Just goes around me, you know? So that's what I'm saying. So over on the East Coast, there's something different. And and there's a lot of pictures being over there. But when I go out here, I'm not seeing, even on a completely clear day, you can't see something. So there's something, I don't know, but I think that the planet is over by the East Coast. I think that's part of what they're trying to cover, and they're not going to be able to cover it. And I don't understand, you know, why they're trying to have it be, like, why they want it to be such a shock value thing. Like, why aren't they preparing the people? Why aren't the government and stuff talking about what's in the sky? Why do they keep trying to hide it? Unless they want it to be a part of the, what's here to scare us, to destroy us or something. So, what was that? It was a movie, somebody, maybe it's a new show, but somebody was sharing this clip, and they were showing the skies, and they were showing what was going to be happening. You know, half the people are going to go, And but remember, when it's going to be traumatic, this is that same thing with mind play. Remember, we're in a game. Half the people are going to go because they're done with the game. They're going to something else. It's going to be traumatic, but you're supposed to go through that traumatic part, that experience. You're supposed to go through that development stage. So, that's why where these love and light people tell you, just bury your head in the sand. No, you're supposed to be using this time to process, not just ignoring the world around you and focusing on heaven on earth. It's like, okay, well, I think there's people who are not going to be going there. They're going to cross over in their life review. They're going to see, their ego is in their way or whatever. But as that's another thing too. Like in that one video yesterday, where I said something. Oh, it was just one of these little quick ones. Because they'll say stuff in my head and they'll show me something and I'll be like, okay, so I'll go in and I'll do these little quick videos. And that is the best thing for TikTok, these quick outlets, because when they're talking all the time or pointing things out or whatever. And they said, let's see, something about Judgment Day. And I know, because religious people would use that as Judgment Day. And with that is, people don't understand certain things because they are just stuck on religion. And the people who are biased against religion because they think it's all about control and all that stuff. And that's why my point was about some of these people who are progressives, spiritual. They have a very different, a lot of them, 6 months ago were atheist. So it's kind of like go with the trend kind of thing. So, but, real true spirituality is no faking it. It's real or it's not real. You're just like, people in religion, they could go and pretend like they were good people because they showed up on Sunday. And so people would just assume, no, they're a good person. They go to church every Sunday. I see them there every Sunday. They wouldn't do that. And because they could put that into, their persona. They could pretend and be somebody really horrible and rotten. And as long as they went to church, nobody would know. But it's not like that with spirituality. Spirituality, you either are connected to your God, whatever you think that is, and or you're not. And the connection is, to me, everything is the connection. But I've had it for such a long time. So, but this guy comes in and he says something about I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in judgment or something like that. And the thing is these people don't see. There's not a being up there that's going to judge you. It's you. You are the judge. You are the one. You're sitting there so busy judging everybody else. But you're going to be judging yourself. And even if you don't get the ability to judge yourself here and be able to, what is that? Like I can, okay. Because judging yourself here in reflection helps you to grow and to expand. And so that's what this time, the ascension, the harvest, that is what it's for. It's for you to, to grow in your spirit. And to me, the good part is going to be because when the cataclysm thing happens, that we will know that we won't die because we will have that knowing that we are spirit, we're alive. And so just like with the injury on my chest, so it's not to ignore your physical body, not to ignore your physical symptoms and stuff. It's to be aware of them, but then to start, like, that's why I said, don't go get an A&P book. I changed my mind on that because that gets you too focused on the blood and bones and muscles and all that stuff, when that is just part of the avatar design that isn't even real. And so you got to more of, it's more of getting in control of your mind and your body and, healing and, self-talk and stuff. It all kind of goes together, and it all goes as you, you're expanding. You're going more towards yourself. But, the judgment comes from oneself. And if one doesn't judge themselves here, which most everybody's going to, and everybody will see how really hard it is to judge, it's the shadow work. It's a really dark place to be. And Judgment Day is coming. Judgment Day will be that when things flip the other direction, people will judge themselves very harshly. There's not a God that's going to come down and going to judge them. It's going to be each individual will judge themselves. And so to say Judgment Day doesn't exist is you're looking at it wrong. You're thinking somebody else. Because no, I don't believe there's a God sitting up there judging us and telling us we're not worthy. That comes from inside of us. And that is a part of the soul to realize there is nothing wrong with you. You're judging yourself. You are God. You are a connection. You are all things. So, but you have to go through the process of learning that so you can stop judging yourself. And you go through all these different life experiences so that you can stop judging different experiences, stop judging different aspects, because we have all those aspects inside of ourselves. So we turn it onto ourselves. We judge ourselves. And that is where we come up with shame and guilt and all of that kind of stuff, because, we need to be so, as a soul, we got to be so hard on ourselves. But it's all part of the growing. It's all part of the development. So, and it doesn't mean that you're a new soul to be going through this stuff. You can be an old as fuck soul that has been incarnating in a completely different existence and came here and started incarnating. And what people are always saying is, you don't just come in here and be like, well, I'm just going to go do a quick life over on Earth. No, when you come to this Earth plane and you're going to start the process of incarnation, it is like you're going to grad school. You're going into something that's very difficult, and you have to continue to stay in it. You have to play out your parts. And so it is, it's very challenging. And there's a lot of different things that you learn going through these incarnations than you do going into an incarnation where everything's wonderful and you're just swimming through the sea, and so there's, all different things and experiences and stuff. But when you're doing incarnations, you're growing, you're expanding, you're healing, you're becoming more defined, like a fine wine. You're becoming refined. And so, you're working on you, but you can't work on you if you won't even have the ability to face yourself. If you're so busy being the victim, everybody else is making you do that. You don't have a role in your own life. Everybody else is just making you do shit. Once you cross out of that and you start being like, oh, they're pushing my buttons. Well, what buttons are they pushing? Get in there and start seeing, oh, I got this button. Huh, where did I get that button? Huh, well, I got this button. Where did I get that button? And you start trying to figure out, like, where did this button come from? Where did this button come from? And you heal those things. And always the best place to start is just your trauma from when you were a kid. And, that is where so much stuff happens. And then, we start developing in these toxic ways. And then we start, creating our own toxic experiences. And when we want to end those toxic experiences, we got to go in and face ourselves and heal and grow. So that is your Judgment Day. It's the facing oneself. And, when this occurs, there's going to be so many people who aren't going to be able to handle it. There's going to be mass suicide. There's going to be so much anger. I mean, it's already going on all over the place, but it's going to be so much, I'm going to kill myself, but I'm also going to kill you and you. Because I'm so pissed off. But when all this trauma is going on, you got to remember this combo of, they've been doing this from life after life after life after life. Always one of them is going to come in and going to take out the other ones. They can't get over certain humps. And so they're coming into this to re-experience it and then go in and look at it again and try and see, like, why? How do we keep getting ourselves into this same thing where we get so mad that we just kill each other? And instead of reflecting and trying to heal. And, these relationships that are difficult, they are very, very difficult because they are life after life after life of difficult and things that we do to each other and get angry, and then, we just get reborn, and we think that, but you got to be really tight on your soul. You got to really be. And that's why I keep trying to say the first place to start is start with your communication. And to me, just because when I was so little, that is how I could recognize, is because they were telling me things that I didn't know. So ask questions that you don't know. When you ask questions you don't know, then you'll start recognizing that you're having a conversation. If you can get out of your ego, if you don't just all of a sudden go, "Oh, I'm a genius. I just thought of that. I'm so smart." Yeah, if you actually start acknowledging the smart ones that are around you who are communicating with you and giving you information. And then, once you acknowledge one, another one will step in and, "Well, what about this? I told you blah, blah, blah yesterday." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I thought that." It's you participating in the conversation in your head, so a lot of people, they are very programmed to think that's crazy. I'll feel crazy. I will be crazy. That is your programming that you have to release. It's, everybody's got their own process. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of shit. There's people who are really having to go so much into their fear to really recognize what fear is, how it affects you, what it does to you. And it's important to release it. It holds the soul back. What could you possibly be scared of? You're the top of the food chain energetically. You can come in and play like you're not a part of the top of the food chain, because you have that ability to come in and see. But there's nothing you need to fear. There's nothing that can hurt you, because you are conscious energy. You are, what we call a soul, a cell of the universe. So it is, you can't be hurt. It's all a part of illusion. But you learn about yourself playing the games in the illusion. So, but you have to, come at them differently. You have to look at them as challenges, not as you're being defeated by the universe. Just setting up challenges. Just like when I'm sitting here in fucking major panic mode, ready to just walk out of the school and never come back, and over a needle, then and then she's gonna come in and start digging around and stuff, and poking and oh my god, and the whole time I had to just keep sitting there being like, staying focused on my mind. So I'm focused on my mind. I wasn't gonna lose my shit and start kicking and screaming like a child like I did. So you have that humiliation aspect too. But I wasn't doing it because I was an adult person who is maturing, doesn't want to have baby fits. Like, it's not just because everybody else is going to look at you like you're an idiot. It's because you're going to look at yourself like you're an idiot. Like, oh my God. That's when I see these people who are out there, these Karens or whatever, losing their minds on people and stuff. That's what I see as an injured person who's lost control of even... I saw this one yesterday, or just, maybe it was today or whatever, but it's just so wacky. Like, some of these people are just going so fucking wacky. Like, this woman who owns this house, and then the woman next door rents her house. The renter must have been there longer and doesn't like the new person who moved in. The little tiny fence between their houses, which, up front can only be like 4 feet tall. So it's like the shorter. It's not like a private fence. You're only allowed those for your backyard. Like, this stupid fucking rules that we let them say to and tell us. And, so the renter neighbor is out there trying to cover the fence with black plastic or something. I don't even know. It was weird. And the one lady's like, "I'm just going to take that off." And the lady, the one who's going crazy, is yelling at her. And she's like, "I'm not going to keep that up there." And this is where, because the one woman goes, "I own my home. You're a renter." And I think those divisionary tactics too, I think, are created, to keep people in two positions. So you have lack of empathy for this person. You've got to one up them over them, instead of acknowledging their frustration and like, what can we do to fix this? Because bet your ass these two souls have this problem. This isn't an accident. You don't accidentally come across these people. These people come into your lives because you have connections, soul connections. And the one, she's wants to hit her, and she's cussing at her and calling her names and stuff like that and losing her mind. And there's a sidewalk there. Like, what are you doing? Like, it makes no sense. You're out there trying to do, it's weird. Like, what in the world are these people out, like, just doing weird stuff? Like, in their minds, do they see something else? It's like they're just stuck somewhere. They're not in the rational world or something, That's why I said everybody's at different states of consciousness. And, and some people are very absorbed into the game. And that's why the game has to be ripped out of their hands. Just like Ariana on that show, sitting there for fucking, what was it? Because it was before quarantine. She was, for 3 years or something. She's whining about she wants her life to change. She wants something to change. She's not happy in her life. Well, the universe was there to give you the change. But you see, and then get angry, bitter, mad, scream and yell, just become so nasty and hateful. And instead of being like, okay, well, now I'm on my new journey. Yeah, I mean, we weren't meant to be together. Oh, I mean, we would be together if we were meant to be together. So we weren't meant to be together. So let's part ways amicably. Let's, appreciate the time we had together, and let's move on. And see what's out there. Something bigger and better is waiting. Something that's going to be more fulfilling. It doesn't have to become like, it's going to be better than you. Better than, I'm going to upgrade. I'm going to downgrade, all that kind of bullshit. No, it's going to be what you have, what you learned and grew from the other one. Now you're ready for the next lesson. So the next person will come in who's going to be teaching you the lesson. It could be, for me, it has been Stella for the last 5 years. Like, so much of my lessons has been in isolation and with my dog, and, learning about health and taking care of her, and just learning about the challenges of, having a chronically ill dog, and just knowing how many people, tell me, just put her down and stuff like that. And how, it is, I've been learning a lot. You're always learning a lot, but you got to be open to seeing the lessons that are around you. Don't minimize your lessons just because you think, oh, well, this person, they got the life over there. They're getting really good ones. You don't know their lessons. You don't know what they're learning. And even if you, it's just so weird, seriously, how people just keep thinking that they want someone else's life. Instead of really opening up and seeing the magic in their own, they just think, oh, that person's got it better. Oh, if I do this, I can get what they have. And you see it all day long on TikTok. These people who come in and tell you how to get famous, what you need to do to get famous and stuff like that. People go chasing this shit. And it is destined. It isn't something like, if that is part of your destiny, then, and you are meant to see that, and it tells you what to do next, and you go do it, and it works perfectly for you. It doesn't work for this other guy, but it works for you because it's your destiny. It is what you came to learn. It isn't because you're better than the other guy. It's because there's lessons that you're going to learn from the experience. And if you're all stuck in ego, like you're better than somebody because everybody wants to be famous, and then you became, well known for whatever it is you're doing, and you get all caught up in your ego, that is so you can see that for yourself. And, a lot of it can be in public. Like, there's so much public humiliation going on. That whole show the other day, that was... and it was weird too, because on this one part, even where Lala even said something like she was doing shame, and it's like, that's exactly what you guys are doing. You guys are the people standing out there throwing the stones, hitting people and telling them that they're shameful for making a mistake, and how dare them have ever hurt you. Like, that is, man, I don't see how people are all on the side of sick. and not on the side of healing. You know, it's weird. But to me, it just shows like so many victims in the world. But it's up to you to change that. It's up to you to claim your empowerment and just look at it differently. And so, oh yeah, because the alien thing. So everybody's talking about that with the aliens and trying to either figure out if he's faking it or not faking it or whatever. I mean, to me, why bother? The aliens are real. And however it's being rolled out into society is going to be rolled out into society, but it's real. It's going to be a part of our future. It's part of what people have to wake up to. And it's shocking how many people are scared of them. I bet it's in the programming. They're scared of them. They truly don't think they exist. That one blows me away. That one really does. Is there somebody who's she's a pretty big creator, and the other day she did a video and said, you know, she doesn't believe in aliens at all. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so strange. Like, I've been talking to them my whole life. Like, I don't know. I know they're real. Like, they've been talking to me. So, but, you know, each person, this is their own thing. And people who are doing it in public, you know, and it is a part of their humbling experience. And it could have been because, you know, in a past life, some other situation happened. You know, maybe they went out and they told a bunch of lies and people believed them, and then it caused a problem. And so now they have to come in and say something to experience the humility. And so, but it all goes together. It isn't just this one life or this one thing. It all goes together. So it is, because it's the soul's journey. Like, it's not the things you're doing here isn't just about this life. It is about all different ones. And so, in all different people. And, you know, it's so much a part of ego too, where people think like they're all good person, you know, or where people think, oh, that person's all bad. No, we're both things. And if you are all leaning in one thing, it's because you're out of balance. You just got to pull yourself into balance. You got to start seeing like, you know, why am I leaning so far this way? And there's reason. You know, you're leaning that way because some trauma, some energy is pulling you that way. So you got to release and heal that to pull yourself back into balance. And if you don't just come right back into balance, then there's more to go. You know, I mean, Lala and James are so representative to me of, you know, this trauma or anger and not healing and growing up and turning into rage. And even when they're sitting there like, oh, yeah, well, I go to counseling and stuff. But people go to counseling all the time, and they're not getting what they need from counseling because they're trying to please the counselor. They're not telling everything. They don't want to share the real self. They want to manipulate and get the answers they want. And so that's why it's not always about saying, if you truly want to heal, you don't have to go to a third party. You can just go. It's between you and your guides. Your guides are there to, you know, just like how I've said that we're here for our inner child. We're the advanced self. We're the self that can go back and talk through the experience of memory to the younger child to change the trauma and trauma responses and stuff like that. So it's the same thing. Your higher self can help you through the traumas that you're going through. So, but you got to go forward for your information. So you got to, you know, and you're in a unique place where you can go backwards. Like, you're the middleman, truly, between, for your healing. Is you're the middle, like you go to your higher self who gives you the information, and then you is like you're going in between your pain and trauma, which is mostly inner child stuff, you know, from when you're younger, and you just keep stuffing it away, and then you become reactive in the world, and then you start becoming your own toxic person and stuff. So But it all goes back to, once you start healing your traumas, it is a process of releasing and forgiving yourself, and see, like, yeah, man, I had a hard fucking life. You give yourself a break, yeah, I did some stupid shit, but give yourself a break. Like, I did a lot of stupid shit. I fucking would not at all judge, I mean, I try not to judge people on stupid shit. I feel like one of my challenges is definitely, judging people who are just so disconnected from their soul. That is why it's shown to me so much and told to me so much of it's the people's trauma. Is that, like, you see in Lala and James, and acting like that is so disgusting and gross, but they're really hurt little children inside there. They're not adults. Their avatar, the person that they are represented by is an adult, but the person who's running the ship isn't an adult. And they are wounded and injured. And it's so crazy, too, for some women. I've noticed so many women who can, just throw on some makeup and, put on a fake smile and just go out in the world and pretend like they don't have problems. And they're going out and dating. And so they're just bringing all their problems right there to the table. And then they're mad at men. What was it I saw yesterday? Oh, yeah, because my daughter, she wanted me to watch that show, Initiation. There was only a couple episodes left. So I finished the one, and so the other daughter wanted me to watch this one. I haven't talked to either of them about the shows yet. The one, I don't even want to talk about the one because I am definitely odd man out on that one. Like, what I saw was not what other people saw. But on this one, it was also showing so much about just toxic behaviors and stuff. But there is such a thing with the women, with with how women are acting. It is so and it's so programmed, but they all play into it, and you have to be like in your inner knowing to know, like, it's toxic. And I don't know, it's, and just like Lala sitting there, saying, well, I'm only going to, I'm just going to go have a one night stand. I don't have time for relationships. I don't want anybody, when that is bullshit. You want somebody to come and whisk you away, just like every other fucking person in the world wants their one true love to come and get to experience life with somebody who appreciates you. And, I mean, that is like, everybody wants that. And, nobody wants toxic relationships, toxic love. And, but these girls that go out and try and pretend like they're all so, progressive, and they're so feminist, and they're so independent. And that's the thing that gets me. They're so much they're so dependent. They're not independent in the slightest. Big deal if you, you sell your own lipstick line or whatever the hell. You're dependent on what everybody thinks about you. You're completely, your fragile ego is on everybody else's shoulders to carry. So, everybody has different things about what they think is success. Success isn't just making money. Success is living clean and living good, not being toxic, not being a problem to yourself. But so these phony ass girls, and they just get themselves in these dramas and stuff, and then they'll go online and whine and cry, oh, and he was seeing 5 other girls at the same time. Well, don't push yourself on these people. And so, now, I don't know if she still is, but at the reunion show, she's already in a relationship. It's not called a relationship just because you hook up every fucking Friday night and Wednesday night at 5 to 7 o'clock. That's no relationship. That's just a hookup. There's no bond there. But bet your ass, if that guy all of a sudden is over bonded with some other girl, you're going to fucking lose your goddamn mind. It's bullshit. These people trying to act like they're so sexually progressive and stuff. That's why we got to have kids in there. Oh yeah, it's okay. You can be gay. It's okay. Like, man, This world is just, is, I don't know. I mean, it's so parasitic on itself, you know? It is really like these adults are parasitic to the children. They need the children's energy. Like the one group is just straight up drinking it, but the other people, they don't realize, like, your ego, your fragile ego is all weighted on this kid. Like that girl, the woman who, the video that lady got, her kids are sitting there saying, I'm sure a lot of you have seen the video. I've seen it so many times, but just got two kids sitting there talking. She's sitting like behind them, and the one is like talking about being gay or something. You know, he's a really little kid, and he says something about, well, you know, I have to be. She makes me. I have to be a part of the LB. You know, starts going through it, and she just keeps sitting there smiling, and then all of a sudden she realizes, like, wait, what? What did you just say? And she's like, wait, what? What did you say? What? And he's like, 'cause you make me have to be. I have to, and stuff. And then at some point the video ends, and you know what, but you know, there is a lot of parents who are like that. Like they're dressing their kid. That's why they put this stuff out in kids stuff. So the parents buy it. The kids aren't going, and I mean, if they fill the whole goddamn store with just rainbow clothes, then of course the kids gonna want the rainbow clothes. But it's the parents, like there's a certain group of parents that are, hell no, I'm not going to buy that. And it's very disappointing that they take this happy symbol and then turn it into something that, you know, so many people look at as like propaganda. And then they have with the because now this is some bullshit, but this is the absurdity. This is the kind of stuff. And my hair looks so dirty. This is the kind of stuff that is to piss us off. This is part of the absurdity of the awakening. So, you know, you can't let yourself just get totally bent out of shape over every little fucking stupid ass thing they do, because you'll go crazy. Because there's so many things that they're doing that are so absurd. And it's all, the absurdity is to just, you know, I mean, subtle wasn't working. So it's just got to, I've noticed this since 2020. It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And to get people to pay attention. So, and this Target, God, fucking, it supposedly is a Target representative. I don't know, as a CEO. It's just bullshit. It could be a NSA person, you know. And the real person could be in jail for all we know. But the thing that they said, so they took down all of the pride stuff, and they just put up all this flag clothes. And but the comment that the stuff the guy said was just so fucking rude. You know, the people in the South, they need the flag clothes because they just don't understand about inclusivity, and it's beyond their understanding. So, you know, and we're gonna just put this out for a little. You know, it was so rude. It was so demeaning. But that is the corporate attitude towards us. And see, that's what we all have to really recognize. You're supporting people who look at you like this, like you're a total imbecile. They laugh at you. I mean, they feed you your neighbor. Like, this place is, and that footage, man, that's one woman who just, oh, that's so good. Give me another piece. It's so good. Yum. Yeah, who's this I'm eating now? Fuck. Just like, I don't know, I was making fun of that. Saying that's what we're going to end up having. Drive through. Oh, God, so gross. But see, as that part is their soul stuff. You know, whatever they came to experience or learn, you know, and I don't know. Or did they just come in to play a part to gross me the fuck out so I'd talk about it? I don't know. Did they come in because their soul really is going to go through that? And, you know, to me too, just like I don't want someone else's blood inside of me. I don't want someone else's parts inside of me. I'm disappointed in myself. I put these plastic parts inside of me. And, but I don't want someone else's blood or organs or any of that stuff inside of me. And now with, if you were eating other people and having all of that, all of their DNA coming inside of you and stuff like that, and I think they do this shit on purpose too, just like the whole thing with shampoo. Not just to get the certain chemicals to absorb through our scalp, but also to take away the protective barrier so other toxins and stuff have easier access. It's kind of strange too. Well, because they use mucus. They use it as a transporter. Because if they didn't use mucus as a transporter, they would do everything to dry it up, because the mucus is used in our bodies to protect us. Just like the sebum is used on your hair, is our natural, what is that word? Lubrication. As a natural lubrication of like what I said about the apples and the wax, because that the apples on the tree, they start naturally having that waxy coating on them, and they don't just put them through a wax machine. There's some sort of coating. I think the problem is when they spray at certain times, and so the spray grows into the apple with the coating or something, I think. I don't know, everything they've done, they do it to try and make us sick. And then, it took like gardeners to start telling us, like, they've removed all of the female trees. All of we have is male fruit trees everywhere and stuff. So, all of the things. I saw the cutest video yesterday too with this little girl. The one little girl's 7. She's always talking about different things with aliens and stuff like that. And but this little girl, there's gonna be so many kids that are gonna be like little fucking leaders, because they don't have the same. They're coming in. They don't have the veil. They're set up for the next experience. They're not coming in to play with the old one. The old one's ended, and it's the only things that are still participating in the things that people are holding on to, but it's ended. And so we got to be shifting. But when we are going this way, there's gonna be so many kids like this little girl. She's like, I don't even know, like 4 or 5 years old. And she's out there, like in this garden, and she's talking about male and female. She's showing you the difference. She's explaining about cantaloupes and squash and stuff. So, there's going to be so much more of that kind of stuff. I think it's going to help people, understand, like, a soul is still a grown-ass soul, even though it's born in a little tiny body. It's still a grown-up. They've just got to go through the process of getting, it's like they're getting taught the rules of the game and learning how to use their vehicle, like right now, the one grandson, he's been trying to walk, but he's crawling, doing all the moves and stuff, and they reach for things. It's all like learning how to use the body is what, the soul is learning in the beginning, and, trying to understand its environment. And it's a whole process. But these kids that are coming in now, they're not going to be going through the same kind of lessons as what other ones did. Like, there's still going to be trauma things and stuff, but it's going to be less and less and less. And so, to me, with this thing with the, I should have just left my hair up. It's going to drive me crazy. What I'm going to do today, so I'm going to spray it with baking soda, and then let that sit on there for a while, and then rinse that out, and then put red wine vinegar and let that sit for a while, and then rinse that out. And so then tomorrow we'll see what it looks like, what happens. So it's right now it's weird because it's like heavy, and the oil isn't like oily, like it doesn't, like there's no oil on your, it's like lubricant for your hair. It's like it feels like it just doesn't feel oily to me. But it's like it does get heavy and like stick together. You have to like separate it and stuff. So I don't know. It's going to feel good to have I hope it's going to feel really clean. It's really so tempting to just go in there, detergent, put detergent on there. But I don't want to do that anymore. I want to get used to feeling, being comfortable, being natural. That's what I want to work towards. Not needing all of their chemicals and all of their nonsense to tell me that that's what I need. I know I don't need it. I know I can heal myself. I know it's my own abilities that I need to work on. So, but what was I going to say? I was about to, okay, so that planet thing, so over there on the East Coast where they've got all this action happening, and then you can see very distinct, they're like, and it's huge. And then I've seen like some of these people with the sundog things, like the reflection behind. There's some cool ass footage of that. And so that's the Nibiru thing, I think. There's a bunch of different planets. Like if you find one of those people who is really into that and doing the map out thing, it's really cool. Because they'll put like the map of like these galactic maps or something over our sky, and it will look the same. It's trippy. And so, don't be scared of what's going on up there. Like this is all supposed to happen this way. It's not to scare us. It's to help us open up. It's going to open the whole galaxy up for us. And in this show or this movie that is out, it shows like, it says something about half the people leave, and it's always the people who can survive, the people who, are learning how to survive and know how to cook and sew and take care, the people who are dependent on the system. It's the same girl who doesn't believe in aliens, just a week before that was saying she doesn't know how to cook. And and she's in Jersey. So, man, real condensed places are going to be really hard to get out of in certain things, but not everybody's meant to get out of it. And so, you just got to keep remembering, just don't be scared. You just go with whatever's happening. To me, it's always, I got more of that warrior instinct, like the Viking, run into battle. Don't stand and turn the other way and be scared of what's going to happen. Run into battle and fight for your life, fight for your rights. And because that is what your soul, that's what matters to your soul. I mean, how you think your soul feels like when it sees it run the other direction, and you go to your life review, and it's like you see that side of yourself. You don't just see it, you feel what you felt. And that is so you can learn from it. But, the fight or flight, flight is all based on fear. Something could happen to you. You could, you got to go into it as, see in Valhalla, there's nothing that can happen to you. And, but while this is going on in regards to like the solar flash and all of this stuff happening, it's going to be a part of it. I don't know where it all fits in. Like, I don't know how all the things fit in together. I just know that certain things are going to go down. Like, we're going to have a solar flash that's building up to that. That is in all prophecy that you can go back as this cataclysm, this solar event thing that's going to happen. But it's really good for us. It's not bad. Like, we're all scared, but, or people are scared, but it is, that is your trigger to start thinking differently. It's your come to Jesus moment. Well, how do I stop being scared of this event? And you start connecting to yourself in your spirit will tell you, you don't worry, you've got nothing to fear. And that is where you start being like, oh, okay, so I've got nothing to fear. What about this? What about that? And they'll tell you, they'll explain things, they'll help you. And so, when you focus on that, then you're raising your vibration, you're becoming consciously aware. And then when shit goes down, then you know that you're not going to die because you can stay wherever you want to stay. And, I think there is a thing like how they showed in cartoons where the roadkill could just stand up. I think a lot of what we have is roadkill. That's their exit strategy. That's just their way to release themselves from the experience. But I think that we're going to learn through this expansion that we don't have to die. And it's not going to just be about the med beds. It's going to be something about how our conscious, how we see ourselves, how we understand realms and realities and stuff. It's going to be something like that. It's going to be something about how our mind shifts. So we realize we don't have to die is why we won't die. And that's what I think. But so we have the things that are going to change out in the galaxy, and they show that in this show, this stuff with the sky and stuff changing, and it kind of opens up. And there's been so many people have had so many of these dreams of the sky opening up. I think that we can pretty much be sure, something big is going to happen in the sky. We're going to see that we have other planets, there's other things around us, but keep in mind that it isn't air, that we're not in space, that we're like more, think of it as like we're in a giant ocean, and the bubble that we're in is going to pop, but we don't have to worry. We're not going to drown. We're going to all of a sudden see that we can swim like the fish. We can breathe underwater. We're going to see that there was nothing for us to fear. We were in the bubble because it was a containment center. It was a low vibration containment center. It's kind of like, you could think of it kind of like a prison, because you can't leave there until you raise your vibration. And so you're in here incarnating, raising your vibration, because you can't take that low vibration, that toxic vibration. It can't, where else can it go? Like I said, all of the vibration and frequency, you can only go to where your highest point. Just because you die doesn't, where people are like, well, I can go to the heavens. You can only go to the heavens as high as you can go from your vibration. If you're low vibration and you're just hateful and angry, bitter, judgmental, and then you pass from that and say that that's what you're here to learn from. And then you pass and you go in your life review, you're facing yourself, you're seeing yourself, you know how you feel inside. And that was one thing too that was interesting in that show, because the people were talking about how much they learned by watching themselves. They watched the show back, and they said watching themselves and then knowing what they were thinking at the time, and then watching how they acted and how it wasn't in alignment. We really made them have to start looking at themselves more clearly and stuff, and seeing that they're not really being true to themselves. They're not really being authentic. They're not saying their truth. They're hiding. They're not being honest. And that's really important, and it is vulnerable, and it is scary when you have been traumatized in the past and made fun of, or any of the things that we've all gone through. And so it is, but that is where you got to cross over that fear of being vulnerable, of having somebody, make fun of you. Like I've had lots of them. Yesterday, I mean, there's a bunch of people coming on now, and and every time that there would be comments, it'd be like, oh crap, is this gonna be one? Because on TikTok I get so many, really rude. Like somebody even came in, one of my comments yesterday or the day before, and said, I didn't even read the whole thing, said something like, you're like 75, you don't have any right. It's like, fuck off. I mean, the way that people think, like, why would I want anyone like that? I haven't got no time to converse with you. You've got nothing to offer. And so this, I did get a comment yesterday where they came in and they said something like, I was low vibration, negative, some else negative thing. I was like, this is so strange. Like, people don't recognize their own hypocrisy. So you're coming in, you're making a point to come in and tell me I'm negative. So you're using negativity to come in and tell me you yourself think I'm negative, and you're going to come in and tell me that. It's like, I don't want anything to do with that kind of energy. That negative, no self-awareness, just hateful. It's like, if you don't have the ability to just go past somebody that you don't agree with or don't like, But you feel the necessity to come in, and what is it you want from somebody? You want them to change? Do they need to be what you need them to be? They need to look at life the way you look at it in order for you to be comfortable. Like, this is where people got to see. You got to be independent in your thought. You can't sit there and think. Everybody has to agree with you to validate you. And these people need to start recognizing when they're coming in and trying to tell us that we need to change, we need to be different. For who? For you? Somebody I don't know? I need to be different for you? No, that's part of my journey, is to learn to be sovereign to myself, to not be a people pleaser, to not try and do what other people want me to see that that is a toxic relationship on both sides, the person who's trying to please and the person who's having the expectation that you need to please. So the person, if you're going to come in and you're going to say negative comments, I'm just going to block you. I don't want to deal with somebody who has no ability to control themselves. And I just don't want that negative energy around, but I'll say, yeah, I get people who come in and say hateful shit, but I'm not going to, I just don't want to participate. And when people come in, they are just negative and hateful like that. That is like this Karen, this wounded animal who just needs to lash out at somebody, who needs to, they're so frustrated in life. They're so, they don't understand what's happening. The biggest way you can understand what's happening is connect to yourself, connect to your soul. Your soul knows what's happening. When you connect to your soul, don't connect to the three-dimensional world. This is the part you're letting go of. You got to detach from, how you think others see you and everything through that lens of that three-dimensional lifestyle, three-dimensional world you created for yourself. And, be open. Don't be like Ariana and sit there, oh, I just want change. And then the change happens and then whine and cry. Well, I didn't want it to go that way. Well, if you had something in mind, you should have been working towards that. That's manifesting. You had something else in mind. But a lot of times your soul knows that what's about to occur. So it starts preparing you. So everything's about to go for a total loss. So you start feeling like, God, I'm just not comfortable. I'm not happy here. I'm just, everything becomes cringy. Your soul is helping you release from that. So when you're going to work and everybody's just making you sick and you just can't stand it there, well, just be prepared. Something is getting shook up there. You're not going to be staying there. Something will happen. Either you'll man up and you'll say, hey, I've got to do better for myself. I can't come and, this isn't worth a paycheck. Who cares if I have to make less, if I have to, move or whatever. That is for your own soul to start figuring out for yourself. So when you go in, it is for you to say, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy in this relationship. It's not one of the things with all these women. I'm not happy in this relationship, so you need to change. You need to make me happy. And then the people who were beat down, how they just kept being like, it just was so crazy. How every time they would try and speak, they would jump up and start screaming at them. It's like the people who are telling you that they have no voice, nobody listens to them. They're all over here in their own little group because they're judged all the time. And then you guys are showing that they're exactly telling the truth. It's very, man, I'm still so mind blown every time. I'm still stuck on that. Just thinking like, I can't not get over that people could watch 3 hours of that shit and still be on their side when they acted like that. It's like, man, we have got a toxic society. And it is really, I don't know about all the men with the toxicity. I know that there's toxicity on both parts. I'm not going to say it's just women, but I'm super aware of women because I know a lot of women and I know how women act and I know what women do and I know how women look at things and all that stuff. So when you see, like I can recognize what Lala's doing, this manipulative behavior. Oh yeah, I'm just a freewheeler on the open sex, but really they're getting their claws in as tight as they can. And, real quick is exclusive and, but the thing is they're setting the rules where they're comfortable. And then if the man doesn't like that, well, he's toxic. I'm just going to become a lesbian because men are so toxic. It's just so strange. Like how women are, like what I hear them saying and stuff, and especially like a certain group of them, a certain age. And it is, I don't know. The whole thing with the programming is it's so elaborate. So elaborate. Just like these shows like Vanderpump Rules. You know, they're setting a tone. So many girls that act exactly like the girls off that show. Those girls are role models. And it's, man, it's like, it's so weird. Role models in the schools, drag queens, role models for women are girls that, sell themselves for just total sellouts. Just totally sell themselves as like, I'm gonna market my body. I'm just gonna make money off my body. I have no respect for their soul, so it's a sellout. You don't care about your soul. You only care about the flesh. Then you've sold your soul out. You're not, because the soul is your barometer. It's your guide. It's your moral compass. So if you're not using your soul to decide what is your action, and you're just going out and just mindlessly taking action in a toxic three-dimensional like Sodom and Gomorrah kind of place, it's like the most toxic place. And and you got to have, your soul has got to talk pretty loud to hear over all of these other beings. But I think in a lot of cases people just don't listen to their soul. They don't want to be, they just don't want to be that kind of person. And then plus they've given listening to your soul such a bad name by using religion and stuff, and then turning all these people against religious people, and even getting the religious people to feel like that they are what is that? They are all being martyred or something. That they are all they're being not rejected, but kind of like the Jews or something, like they're the ones who are at risk. So that makes them feel like victims. So they're victims to this sick society that is just out there and only cares about just empty sex and, it's so toxic. And it's so weird how the people make their rules, like when on the show, how they would make the rules that encompass their mistakes, but nobody else's. It's like, well, that's convenient. So you're still a good person because you had an excuse for what you did. But anybody else who does something, then they don't have that excuse. So and that is so ego. And it keeps you in division because you can't accept and have compassion for someone else's mistakes because you have made excuses for yours. You're justified in everything you do. And especially because you've been hurt. Well, guess what, motherfucker? We've all been hurt. And it's your choice what you do with that pain. Do you become hateful and bitter and mean and ugly? Or do you become compassionate and caring and, loving towards people who are in crisis? And or you're just somebody who's over there not just kicking them while they're down, but you're spitting in their face and dumping dirt on their head. It's like, as each person decides who they are through this thing. But there is that judgment will be you seeing yourself for the true self. And then right now, where people don't get it because they think they're seeing their true self. But when everything flips, the pole shift, everything is going to flip. It's all going to flip the other direction. Another thing too, I had just heard that I will just say too is what is that show called? Stranger Things on Netflix. It is based on true story. So that puts the truth right out there in front of you. It's based on the Montauk experiment or something. So, but all that stuff is true. They have everything down there. We're in the upside down, like all of this stuff. So we're in the upside down, but it's going to flip. And that is when people are going to really see themselves differently. Like they think, just like those girls being so rude and nasty. And then when they see like, oh, that's the toxic behavior. It's not the making the mistake. Make a mistake. We all come here to make mistakes. It's my response. It's my judgment. It's my hatefulness. That's the toxic part. And so then there's going to be people, because they're so in their ego, when they have to face that part, their ego, that's where they're going to, it's going to be too much for them. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to just take the easy way out, because it's going to be so much to face themselves. So yeah, there is Judgment Day. The judgment comes from inside. There's no hiding from it. People sit there and think that, like you can trick God and stuff like that. Well, how can you trick something that's inside of you? It's got a bird's eye view. It knows you better than you know yourself. Like when you hear that, yeah, your soul does know you better than you know yourself. Your soul knows you on a deep level. If you aren't connected to your soul, then you don't know yourself very well. So but that is going to be the hard part. That's the judgment, is when everything flips and you see things for what they are, and you see the role you played is going to be a very different role than what you thought it was. So, but that's each soul, has to, is their journey to themselves, to see themselves, and they got to forgive themselves for every mistake they made on the journey, and that is when once you can forgive yourself, that's when you can forgive others. It's part of the process. It's part of the development. And so when you go through that, it's important to not diminish, or not distract yourself through that part of the healing, through that part of the facing yourselves, the judgment, your time to really reflect on why you do the things you do. And when you go through the things, it is when you get to the part of the things you've done, to other people, even though you were broken at the time, the things you've done, those are the really hard things to get over. That is where you start really feeling so much shame and guilt, and those are the hard things. That's why I'm always trying to tell people, you got to really be mindful. People don't realize the hardest things to get over are your reactions to other people, how you treat other people, because your soul is is way up here. It would never dream of treating anyone a certain way. It's your response system. It is triggered by, and that's why it's important for you to have control. So you're not just reactive and just reacting to things, so that you are mindful. You are making choices. You're thinking about what you're doing and how it's going to affect somebody else, because those things will hurt. Things that are really hard to get over is, when you start your healing, is mistakes you've made with your kids, mistakes you've made with a spouse, maybe something you said to your mom. Those things you're going to feel them so deep and be so mad at yourself. I mean, so mad at yourself that you weren't more compassionate, you weren't more caring, that you were so judgmental, you were so hateful, and you just get a totally different look of it. And when you go through that part, that is when you really got to just forgive yourself. You got to just learn how to forgive yourself, and just accept, yeah, you're not perfect. Yeah, you make mistakes, but this is the safe place where you get to come and make mistakes. It's our judgment on one another is what makes it not safe. But you got to really put in perspective what judgment is, Don't get all hung up on it. Don't start seeing yourself through somebody else. Just if somebody else is judging you, there's a fine line between being open to not judgment, but to feedback. So, be open to feedback, but that doesn't mean you have to change yourself to please somebody else. You just have to acknowledge, like, oh, okay, so I am I always do this. Is that something I want to do? Like, why do I do that? Like, why do I always shut down whatever it is that you do? This is for you to walk yourself through it, so you can try and figure out, like, why do I do that? How do I stop doing that? The first way to stop doing something is just be aware that you're doing it. And then the second thing is when you catch yourself doing it and you can stop yourself, instead of being mad at yourself that you did it again, Be excited that you caught yourself and that you're starting to really become aware of your actions and what is triggering you and what makes you tick and stuff. So appreciate it. Don't be mad at yourself. Just everything to me is a lot of start looking at things opposite of how you were looking at them. But to me, important things that you can be doing if you're just like really just don't even know what to do is work on your communication with your guides, and doing it through asking questions and meditation is. And if meditation is hard, you don't have to sit there and think like, okay, well, I got to go meditate and I can't ever quiet my mind. Go do something that is mindless. Like go wash every dish in your cabinet. Go get them all out and make today the day you're going to wash them all. And just wash them all by hand. Fill up your sink with some nice warm water. Put on some music. Get comfortable shoes. And stand there. And believe you me, you will meditate. Your mind will go someplace and you will find yourself in some deep thought. And before you start, ask yourself the questions that you want to ask. And it can be something, it could be knitting, anything that you're just repetitively just sitting there doing. That's why, like, when you're driving, you can get somewhere and be like, oh my God, how did I get here? I was just like gone in another world the whole way. So, and then that should tell you like, oh, there's something else in there driving. I'm out here not paying attention, but there's something in me driving. And don't get into a frenzy of like, oh my God, I could have been killed. No, you can't unless it is exactly going to happen. Unless that was supposed to happen. I'll tell you the fucking crazy ass footage. Before, when the fire just first broke out, there was footage, people on the freeway. And the flames were shit. First, it was just smoke, black smoke. And all these people on the freeway, they are still driving. They were driving into it. I'll be like, oh my gosh. One of them was a Big Mac truck. And so maybe he could see more. But this smoke starts just engulfing. And then flames start shooting up. But man, if I was on the freeway and that stuff started going across, I think I'd go the other way. I don't know how long that was going before it collapsed. But fuck, that was intense. And what was that other footage? Because there was another one too with the flames. Oh, yeah. Okay. Because this one was crazy. And this is what I keep saying and saying. This is what you got to get in your head. Nothing can happen to you unless it's supposed to, unless it's your time unless it was your exit, it was your opportunity to get out of the game. It won't happen. And this guy, so I think it was part of this thing that was going on with the flames started shooting up or something. And people started wrecking. But this could be a totally different wreck. But it was like so many people out there. But the one that was so crazy, because there was a bunch of cars wrecked. But the one guy, so in the video, the guy's just standing out in the street on the freeway. And he keeps yelling, just keeps saying the same thing over and over. Something like, Jesus is real, Jesus is real, Jesus is real, or something. Thank you, Jesus is real, or something like that. He was freaking out. But then when you see his car, it is like, oh my God, it is insane when you see his car, how smashed it is. And the one side is just like ripped open. I guess he got flown out of it or something. It is so demolished. Like there's no way if he would have been in that car, he would have been squashed. And he's standing out there, screaming like it was a miracle. And, he could recognize it was a miracle. All these other people are all standing out there. A lot of people could recognize there's people out there filming. And, but that's the thing is nothing can happen to you that's not supposed to happen. He wasn't supposed to go in that wreck. So yeah, he's going to get out and be perfectly fine. If he was supposed to go in that wreck, he would be gone. If he was supposed to be a long-term thing that the family had to come in and learn, like maybe he was going to be in a coma for a month, that would have happened that way. And it would have been because all those people had to learn from those different things. Like everything is going to happen the way it's exactly supposed to happen. There is no changing it or anything. It's in motion. You know, we're on a ride. It's just the same as getting on that roller coaster ride at the, you know, the park, and the roller coaster starts going. It's not going to go off in other directions. It's going to go right on its track. That's what we're on. We're on this track. And when you don't like the path you're on, you have the chance to change it. When you have a certain outlook, and it's a very negative path, and you're bringing all this negativity towards you, you can change that by changing your attitude. And it was always going to happen the way it's going to happen. It's not like you have to go and change and go into a new timeline and maybe your friends won't be at that one. No, it is you change your attitude, you change how you look at things, and then things start changing around you. So it all starts with you. You are the change. You're the change you're waiting for. You're the change that needs to happen in your life. Nothing else needs to change but you. And then being on top of your own environment, because what's happening in all different places is happening in all different places. We're not all having the same experience. And so what's happening in your place, you need to be tuned into what's happening there, because everything that is happening right now is for this giant shift, this giant change. And so it's the people who have no awareness, it's up in the air of if they would be going to the age of Aquarius, because they don't even have any awareness. They're not working on themselves. They're not healing. But except I know that the universe is about to, do the same thing as what it did to Ariana. It's about to shove them all into having to do that. And so, it's going to be a mass amount of people. And, but there's going to be a lot of people who are going to leave too. And that is part of some people's healing and trauma. So, there's a lot of stuff going on. And it's important to stay tuned into your game, what you're doing. And, I go out and look and see what's going on in the world, because I want to see like where we're kind of at in this process. And it's still, you can kind of see like, oh yeah, it's moving. People are waking up, and that, things are shifting. Truth is coming out. I mean, we're not in martial law. So, and the banks would have already opened. DC, but DC is just all construction. Like it's a ghost town except for construction people apparently. And all the buildings and stuff, there's nobody in them. So I don't know what they're doing, but still Wall Street and the banks and stuff like that. So any of that stuff, we got all this judicial stuff, any of that stuff, we got stuff up in the planets, like any of that stuff could go down. Like that could be what knocks everything, something busting through the sky. I mean, they put it in a lot of movies. So, I don't know. But you got to just be ready for anything, and be aware that there is like a totally different thing going on the East Coast as the West Coast. Like, it's like if the Nibiru is over on there, that it's not over here. Like, I don't know. There's something weird about, suns and moons and planets and skies and where we're located and everything about this realm. It's all just so much of lies. And so anyways, but it's important to stay on top of your place where you're at, because different things are going on in different places. And if you're super hyper focused on like what's going on in New York, and you're down in Louisiana and you're not paying attention to what's going there because you're so scared of what's going on up there, which will be important because the waterway will make its way down there. And right now they are trying to push the air down there. But there's also, Louisiana is not even on the fucking new map. So, you need to be aware of, there's just a lot of stuff of your own place to be aware of. And when you're just completely focused on everything else, not your own self, your own environment, then you're missing out on things that you need to pay attention to. If you're hyper focused on what's going on everywhere else. And, there's a lot of that going on. And so that is another thing to learn to practice, is get control over, there's a lot of things. It's all about just learning to manage yourself. It's not about controlling yourself. It is a little bit about, control yourself, but it is a management. It is, learning how to run the mothership, learning how to program the motherboard. It's you are the programmer. You have to be tuned in to what's happening there, and then to start managing it and being like the overseer, the one who is, you're behind your own curtain. It's like the soul inside of you starts being out there running the show. So anyways, it's just a different way of looking. Oh my God, I can't believe I've been talking this long. Shit. I'm just going in my own little world. Okay, so anyways, I've been talking a long ass time. But, there's just a lot of things, to focus on right now. And it's important to where you focus your energy, what you're focused on. And keep in mind, there's nothing to fear. This is all a cycle. This is all a cosmic experience that was always going to happen. You're here for it. So don't be scared. They're going to do everything they can to feed your fear, because they want you to be scared. They want you to, go buy some beer and go get some drugs. That's what they want you to do. So anyways, but you can manage yourself. You can control your emotions. You can get control of it, even when you feel out of control. And so many people have got such emotional immaturity that it's starting from it's like being 400 pounds and going to the gym the first time. It's going to be hard, but you can do it. You just got to stay focused and keep at it. Don't give up. That's the biggest thing. Don't give up. So I'll talk to you later.